Prince Charles could be pretty vicious when it came to cutting people out, cutting people off. But the older Charles that we've seen, even in his recent meetings with Prince Harry, his heart has seems to have softened, or there's been some sort of evolution. So I do think you're right that a lot of us were kind of caught off guard by.
It's brutal, but in a way, it's practical. The monarchy's reputation has been shredded in the last few years, between Andrew's disgrace, Harry and Meghan's constant drama, and public fatigue over royal privilege. So Charles had to make a statement. And removing Andrew, as humiliating as it was, sent a very clear message. No more cover-ups, no more second chances. Now, on to Meghan Markle, because of course she's still out here making headlines.
The Prince Andrew decision, because we had grown accustomed to cuddly Charles, Grandpa Charles, with the grandkids in his lap. And I when I saw the news, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime, but maybe I will because of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Well, I think you've got to take two things into account here. One is the mortality of the king. I mean, he is seriously ill. And also the pressure he's under from William, who does not want to inherit a mess. He wants the stables cleaned. He wants Andrew out and coming on to Harry and Meghan. I think for them now in Montecito, this is a moment of grave concern because stripping the royal family of titles was unheard of in our lifetimes and for hundreds of years. They were sent to the Tower and didn't come out. Right. So I think that the couple in Montecito have got some major problems now, which is that I always thought that when William became king, he'd just banish Harry. But I think he'll banish them both and take their titles away. And now Harry might even wonder, will he take the prince title away, just to make absolutely sure there's no connection with the royal family and also his children. The Montecito couple are potentially a grave threat to the British monarchy, which altogether is vulnerable now. So I think that the Sussexes are facing their own doom as well.
Do you believe some of the headlines that Prince William really had a hand in this decision? Or do you think that the king had guidance from people like Keir Starmer, his courtiers that he really trusts and values? Because there are some people that are trying to say William is king now. I've seen 2 headlines. William is king in all but name. And I don't know if that's fair.
No, I don't think it's true for a moment. The king is the king.
Yeah.
What happened was that after the funeral service for the Duchess of Kent, when you saw that rather embarrassing shot of Andrew trying to make conversations with William, 2 days later, William flew up to Scotland, to Balmoral, to see his father, and stayed there for 2 nights, 3 days. And undoubtedly in that conversation, he said to him, we've got to end it with Andrew. I cannot carry on. I mean, it's not only the image, but also they're moving into Windsor Great Park. Mm-hmm. They would see Andrew riding or driving his Range Rover, whatever. Kate did not want to be seen anywhere, nor did William, with Andrew, so they had to cut the knot. The question was only how long it would take for the king to persuade his brother that the end had come. There could be no further negotiations. And Andrew had to accept it without a squeak, which is what happened in that statement. I mean, Andrew agrees without any protest. And I think that is the point. So William undoubtedly was the guiding hand, the force. He probably got the support of the Queen. He certainly got the support of Princess Anne, which is a very important factor too. Mm-hmm. They didn't want any more to be besmirched. And how did we get to this is the important issue. I mean, 6 years ago, he did this fatal interview with the BBC, which he lied in. But it was the publication of his emails with Epstein showing that in that BBC interview he'd lied that really was the end. I mean, the point is the royal family doesn't lie. The royal family is not there to be like a celebrity interview.
Or
giving
a politician. We expect it from politicians or celebrities, but not the royal family.
Exactly. And that was it. That was the final straw. And in his stupidity, Andrew and obviously his wife too, didn't realise that that really was intolerable. Mm. It was absolutely unacceptable. And that is why they had to go. There could be no doubt anymore. It's just that it took us by surprise that it was so total and brutal. clearly there had been a long period of negotiation and argument before they got to that situation.
According to the discussion, Meghan seems to be sliding dangerously close to the Sarah Ferguson career path. Lots of noise, endless reinventions, and dwindling credibility. She's released reality shows, podcasts, and lifestyle brands, all while trying to sell herself as this California wellness goddess. But the execution? A mess. Every project feels overhyped and underdelivered.
What does it say to you, that line in the King's statement about the victims and acknowledging the victims? Because I think one of Prince Andrew's, I think one of what turned the viewer off to everything Prince Andrew has done or said over the last few years is his refusal to acknowledge that anyone might have been hurt throughout this scenario. It's always just, I never met her. I don't think I met her. I can't sweat. Not, if she had this experience with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm horrified. And I'm so sorry that she experienced this. But I don't believe that I've ever met her. Not even to acknowledge any of the victims, potential victims, alleged victims, in any way, shape, or form in a sympathetic capacity. And then you have this statement from the King who acknowledges them, and says, we're with you. I thought that really felt like a punch in the gut to everything we've seen from Prince Andrew so far.
You're absolutely right, but the whole point is that all his denials in the BBC interview in 2019 were proven to be lies. Mm-hmm. And that was the point. And, the photograph is conclusive.
Right.
There's no doubt that's a genuine photograph. And so every avenue of escape for him had gone once his lies were proven. And, of course, there's a chain of emails between him and Epstein after that original one, when, of course, the photograph appears. But I think as well there probably is even more in the Epstein files, which Congress hasn't yet declassified. What is remarkable about this whole thing is that so far, in terms of men, only 2 men have actually been discredited by the Epstein files. They both happen to be British. Yeah. Andrew and the former British ambassador to Washington, Mandelson.
Yeah.
No Americans seem to have
They're
been
taking
touched.
care of themselves.
They really are. They're loading it all on. And so far, they've had 2 huge prizes.
Yeah.
As far as the Brits are concerned. It's been extraordinary.
Right.
But no American casualties so far, and that really is remarkable. But you're right, of course. I do think, in Britain, like in America, abused women are there to be sympathised with. It's a terrible thing for a young girl to be taken and abused. It's shocking. So I think there's a lot of sympathy for to Giuffre. And what's shameful is those who doubt her.
Right.
That is the shame, that anyone should doubt her words. Because, of course, abuse victims always suffer from a lack of clarity, often a lack of total recall. May they make mistakes just because their lives have been so appalling. Mm-hmm. How on earth are they meant to document every incident?
Right.
They're just used.
They have no idea that they should be documenting it. Yeah. I probably will regret saying this, but it has been heavy on my mind. Could Andrew have not known what the circumstances were? Could he just think that these women wanted to be with him because he was a prince, a British prince, and these were American girls that were enamored by royalty? Was he so dumb to not realize what the circumstances were?
No, that's impossible. After all, he was a grown man. He was 40.
Yeah. I know, but he's a grown man with teddy bears.
Well, yeah, but so is the king. Men have teddy bears. I know a general who's got a teddy bear. That doesn't mean a thing. That's all part of the upbringing in the British aristocracy. No, he didn't think when he met Virginia that suddenly she was deeply in love with him. And when he said, "Well, come to bed," and she went to bed, that was somehow because she suddenly was falling at his feet. It's
right.
Ridiculous. 16 and 17-year-old girl.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Of course, he
right.
knew very well that she was being pimped.
Doesn't that just make you miserable that he would?
She started 2025 with that cringeworthy 2025 San photo, her way of saying, "This is my year." But as a commentator pointed out, it came across as tone-deaf and narcissistic, especially since it happened the same day a royal family friend suffered a family tragedy. It was Meghan doing what she does best, broadcasting Meghan when everyone else was talking about something serious.
that he would accept that? Doesn't that just make you just...
Well, he's not the only man who
Yeah.
has benefited from that for 3,000 years. And even now, I mean, you can assure yourself there are hundreds of men in positions of power across the world who just take women because they know they're supplied for all the commercial reasons and abuse reasons.
Yeah, I mean, if
His
you...
great mistake was to lie about it.
Yes.
If he'd just not said a word and left it, he might have got away with it. The great mistake he made was going to the BBC with a concocted view of how I'm going to get away with it.
Right.
And he couldn't resist the pressure. So that was his...
And then the idea that he walked out of that interview and thought he had just hit a home run,
Yeah.
that he'd won the Super Bowl. He went to his mother and said, "Don't worry, it's all taken care of. It's over."
Yeah.
And just the fact that he couldn't register how...
Well, the question is, unfortunately, a bit deeper. The point is, his advisors clearly were useless.
Right.
And I do think that stretches right through the royal family. I think we have lost that generation of wise men, and they were all men, who could actually tell the monarchs in the past, when to abdicate, when to make a speech, when to come down from Balmoral when Diana died. All that stuff was terribly important. That generation has gone. And in their place are people who I would call second class, even third class, who make terrible mistakes. And that was the terrible mistake, not to say to Andrew, under no circumstances should we do this interview, but on the contrary, encourage it. And of course, the advisor was quickly fired afterwards because she made a terrible mistake. And I think the king suffers from the same. He doesn't have the greatest advisors anymore, partly because he doesn't like people who say no to him. So,
Would you say that the Queen, towards the end of her life, didn't have great advisors? Because why would they not cut Andrew off at the knees earlier?
well, they couldn't because the woman was old and she had cancer, and also it was her son. And no, I mean, if she had been told by Charles, we can't carry on like this, it might have happened, as she did, of course, with Harry. I mean, Harry being kicked out completely and all his offers of half in, half out being rejected. That, of course, was the Queen, but also it was very much Charles and William at the Sandringham summit. She just sat there and let them dictate. But they, Charles and William, did not tell her, Andrew has to go now. There was always a hope that somehow. And he might have survived if this email hadn't come out. I mean, that is the point. It was he very foolishly didn't realise.
Was Sarah Ferguson done? Was Sarah Ferguson done after the Supreme Friend email? Was she done there?
Well, I think she was done always. You
Yeah.
know, where she has no position. She was just
irrelevant.
What happens to her now will be interesting as well, in the sense that will she be embarrassing or not? I mean, I think now with Sarah Ferguson, her daughters will tell her, we are now hanging by a slender thread. They very generously have allowed us to keep our titles, but it does depend on you behaving. You'd make one more mistake, one more big mouth error, and we may lose our positions too. So I think there'll be pressure on the parents by the daughters to stay anonymous and discreet.
Do you think that Fergie will turn the Queen's corgis into dog influencers, and that's the way she's going to make her money moving forward?
I think she, however much she earns, she spends twice as much or three times as much.
Yeah.
She is an unguided missile.
What a great way to describe her. That is the truth. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Prince Andrew saga before we transition into another traitor?
I'll give you one more. I mean, my feeling is this has been the most sensational week in royal history, in post-war history, even bigger probably than the Diana and Charles divorce, which was itself pretty huge.
That's incredible.
But this now is seismic because it goes to the heart of a monarchy seeking to restore its popularity and its survival. It was really quite a perilous position it was in. And the question now is whether they can organize themselves to rebuild their popularity, rebuild their position in Britain and internationally. And that is the challenge. And the problem is we've got a king who's not well. We've got a Prince of Wales, an heir, who is, in my view, not quite ready to be king yet, both psychologically and emotionally, because of his own wife's illness and his own interests. And so it is an unstable moment, to say the least.
So Where are we now? King Charles is fighting illness and time, trying to set things right before he goes. Prince William is preparing for his reign, cleaning up the royal mess with ruthless efficiency. Prince Andrew is a ghost, exiled from public life. Sarah Ferguson is hanging on by a thread. Meghan Markle is in brand freefall, caught in an endless cycle of reinvention and rejection. Harry looks more lost than ever. And the monarchy? Still standing, but wobbling. What's happening now feels like a reckoning. Every player in this drama is being forced to face their limits. Charles can't fix everything. William can't control everyone. Meghan can't fake authenticity forever. And Harry can't escape the consequences of his choices. It's messy, it's tragic, it's occasionally absurd. But that's modern royalty for you, an ancient institution trying to survive in the age of clickbait and cancellation. And if history has taught us anything, it's this. The monarchy always survives, but never without casualties. Let me know your take on this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.